So let's continue from where we left off in the previous video. So once again, as a reminder, this is what we are building. We are building this label here. And yeah, so far we've looked at steps 1 all the way to 50. And in this video, we'll be looking at step 51 all the way to step 60. So let's get started. Okay, so after your last divider, which we have here, this divider here, create another P element with the text trans fat 0 grams. So let's do that. So we have our P element here like so. And then let me just copy this text here and I'll paste it here. Next thing we want to do is we want to italize the word trans here. And the way we're going to do that is to wrap it in an I element. Okay, so like so. So as you can see, it's italized. Now we also want to give the new P element the class attribute set to indent no divider. Okay, because as you can see here, this is indented to the right a bit. So let's work on that. We'll say class, then we'll give it a value of indent and also no divider. Okay. Next up, we want to wrap. So as you can see now, this trans here is separated from this fat 0 gram. And that's because the trans has this I wrapping around it, which sort of makes it a separate child of the P element. So for us to put everything together, we can wrap the whole of this in a span element. Okay, so let's do that and see what will happen. So we say span, and we'll bring our closing span tag here. And as you can see, everything is now grouped together and aligned properly. Okay, so let's move on. All right, so next up, we want to create another divider after the last P element. Okay, so this is our last P element and we want to create another divider below it. So let me just copy this one here and then we'll put it below the last P element. All right. Now, after your last divider, which we have right here, we want to create a new P element with this text here, cholesterol 0 milligrams 0%. So I'll create the P element like so, and then I'll copy the text from here. Let's paste the text. Now what we want to do is we want to wrap the cholesterol text in a span element. So this is the cholesterol text. We're going to wrap it in a span like so. Okay, all right. Next up, we want to give the span element the class of bold. Okay, so we want the cholesterol text we have here, want it to be bold. So the way you can do that is use the class element, which we've already defined in our CSS. So we're going to say class bold. Okay, and then wrap the text 0% in another span element. So this is a 0% text. We'll say span, bring our closing span tag. We're also going to give it a class of bold. Okay, and then finally we want to wrap the cholesterol span element and the text 0 milligrams in an additional span. So this is it. So this is the cholesterol span element plus the text 0 milligrams. So we want to wrap this everything here in an additional span. So we just say, so that way, you see now this is separated, this is separated, this is also separated. So when we wrap this one in an additional span, then they will be put together and treated as one element. So we will remove this space that we have right here. Let's do that and see what will happen. So we say span for our opening span tag, and then so at the end of this 0 milligrams, we also say span for our closing span tag. And as you can see, this is treated as one element and separated from the 0%. Okay, so we have this, everything here is one span, so it's treated as one element, and everything here is also another span treated as one element. All right, so let's move on. We'll be doing similar thing like this in the next steps. Okay, so for step 54, again, we want to add another. So now we have reached this place. So we've done this, we'll be doing this, all of these here. So we'll be adding a lot of p tags. So below the last p element, which we have here, we want to create another p element. So okay, and let's give you this text right here. So I'll just copy it and we'll paste it here. Now I want to wrap the text sodium in a span element. Okay, so we'll say span around the text sodium, and we want to set its attribute to class attribute to bold. Next up, we want to wrap the 7% text in another span element and also set its class attribute to bold. So we'll say span and then we'll set the class attribute and give it a value of bold. Okay, now add an additional span around the sodium 160 milligram for aligning it correctly. So this is it. So add our additional span. Okay, there you go. All right, next up for step 55, let me stretch this here so we have more space. Add another p element. So let's add another p element like so. Okay, and want to give you this text right here, so I'll just copy it and paste it. Now, like before, use the span element to make the text total carbohydrate and 13% bold. Okay, so let's do that. So this is total carbohydrates. I'll give it a span. Okay, and then I'll say class, give it a class of bold. I'll do the same for 13% as well. Our closing span tag, and then I'll say give it a class with a value of bold. All right. Additionally, add a span element to wrap total carbohydrate 37 grams text so that you have it aligned to the left properly. So this is it. This is the total carbohydrate and 37 grams. So we want to add an additional span element around them. Okay. So we have our span and our closing span tag like so. Okay, now let's move on to the next one. All right, below your last P element, add another P element with the text dietary fiber 4 grams. So we add another P element. Let me just copy this text that we have right here and come and paste it here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to give the P element the necessary class to indent it and also remove the dividing border. Okay, so let's say class, and we already know that this is what we need. We have the indent class. We also have the no divider class. Okay, so I'll just say indent no divider. All right, give the then create a divider below that P element. So this is our P element and we want to create a divider below it. So I have one of the dividers here. I'll just copy it and then paste it like so. All right, so the divider is just a div with a class of divider. Okay, so something wrong with the code. Your new P element should have the text dietary fiber 4. Oh, so I forgot to add the grams, so 4 grams. So it's dietary fiber 4 grams, not dietary fiber 4. Okay. Hint, your new P element should have the class attribute set to indent no divider. Okay, so spelling mistake. I wrote ident. That's why sometimes I like just copying it and pasting it. So indent no divider, not ident. All right. Let's move on. Next up, we want to create another P element after the last divider, which we have here. Let's create another P element like so. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to give it the text total sugars 12 grams, and then after that we want to assign the P element the class values necessary to indent it and remove the border button. Okay, so I'll just say class. This time let me just copy it, indent and no divider. Okay, now we want to assign the P element the class values necessary to indent and remove the border button. We've already done that. Then create another divider below your new element. So once again, I'll just copy this divider here and place it below our new element, which is this one right here. Okay. Next up, what we want to do is step 58. The advantage to creating these dividers is that you can apply specific classes to style them individually. Add a double indent class to the class for your last divider. So this is our last divider, and this is the class. It has a class of divider, but we want to add an additional class, which is double indent. Now the reason why we are doing this is if you look at our finish page, as you can see, this right here, where is it, has some of this has double indentation. Okay, so let's see how we're going to do that. Okay, so in our CSS, we select that double indent class by using the dot double indent, and then we'll say, let's bring our curly braces, and we want to give it a margin of 2 em. Okay, oh, so I have given it a margin of 2 em, but what we need is just margin left. Okay, margin left. All right. Now for step 60, below the double indent element, add a new P element, and the text we want to include for the new p element is this one right here. So the new p element should also be double indented, and we don't want it to have a bottom border. So what we'll do is, first let's add a new p element. So this is our double indent element. So below it we want to add our new p element, okay, and then add this text that we have right here. So I'll just copy it and then paste the text over here. The new p element should also be double indented and have no bottom border. Okay, so we'll give it a class, and the value of that class will be no divider and double indent. Okay, use a span to make it 20% bold and right aligned. Okay, so want to give it a your new p element should also be double indented and have no border bottom, which we've already done. And we want to use a span to make the 20% bold and right aligned. Okay, so this is the 20% we have here. Want to use it, a span, wrap it in a span element like so. And want to give it a class of bold. Okay, now once we do that, because we've given it in a class, a span element is properly aligned to the right. That's what we want. Then we want to create another divider after that p element we just created. So I will just copy one of the dividers here and then paste it under the new element. Okay, so that will be it for this particular video. We are going to continue in the next one. So see you in the next one.